Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling strangely drained? Not angry, not hurt, just smaller. Nothing obvious was said, no insult, no conflict. Yet something inside you felt off. That confusion is dangerous because the most harmful people in your life are rarely loud, aggressive, or openly cruel. They don't attack you. They erode you slowly, quietly, over time. The Stoics warned us about this long ago. They understood that what weakens the mind most is not chaos, but subtle influence. Not enemies in front of you, but patterns you failed to question. If you've been losing clarity, second-guessing yourself, or feeling disconnected from your values after being around certain people, this is not a coincidence. Today, we'll uncover 9 signs that the people around you may be quietly harming you, and how a Stoic mind learns to see clearly without hatred, without fear, and without apology. Stay with me. Awareness is where self-respect begins. 1. They make you doubt your own mind. One of the most quietly destructive signs appears long before any open conflict. After being around them, you don't feel angry or betrayed. You feel uncertain. You replay conversations in your head. You question your tone, your memory, your intentions. You start wondering whether you misunderstood something that once felt clear. And that is how the damage begins. It doesn't arrive as an attack. It arrives as hesitation. At first, it seems harmless. You tell yourself you're just being fair, just trying to see both sides. But slowly, a pattern forms. Each interaction leaves you a little less confident in your own judgment. Each conversation ends with you adjusting your reality to fit theirs. This is not a healthy reflection. This is erosion. People who quietly harm you often do it by sounding reasonable. They explain things calmly. They downplay your reactions. They say things like, "You're overthinking," or "That's not what happened," or "You're taking this too personally." None of these statements are explosive. That's what makes them effective. Over time, you stop trusting your first instinct, then your second, then eventually yourself. The Stoics understood this danger with unsettling clarity. They taught that when a person loses command over their own judgment, they lose the only thing that truly belongs to them. Your mind is your final territory. Once it becomes unstable, everything else follows. Your confidence, your boundaries, your direction. Pay attention to the effect people have on your clarity. Do you leave interactions feeling grounded or mentally foggy? Do you feel more decisive or strangely unsure of things you once knew? Healthy relationships do not require you to abandon your inner compass. Disagreement can sharpen you. Challenges can strengthen you. But persistent self-doubt is not growth. It is a warning. Here is the crucial Stoic distinction. Intent does not matter as much as impact. Someone does not need to be cruel to be harmful. If their presence consistently pulls you away from your own judgment, the result is the same. A Stoic does not rush to accuse or condemn. But a Stoic also does not surrender the authority of their own mind. Your perceptions deserve respect. Your inner voice is not a weakness to be corrected by others. When you begin to outsource your sense of reality, you begin to shrink. Clarity is not arrogance. Self-trust is not selfishness. And protecting your mental ground is not hostility. It is discipline. And discipline is how the Stoic remains free even when the harm is subtle, polite, and hidden behind reason. 2. Their presence quietly drains your energy. Another subtle sign appears not in what they say, but in how you feel afterward. You spend time with them. Nothing dramatic happens. No argument, no insult. And yet when you leave, you feel tired. Not physically exhausted, but mentally heavy. Your focus fades. Your motivation dips. You feel the need to withdraw, to be alone, to recover from something you can't quite name. This kind of exhaustion is easy to ignore. You tell yourself it was just a long day, or that you're being antisocial, or that everyone gets tired around people sometimes. But over time, a pattern becomes impossible to deny. Certain people cost you energy every single time. You feel on guard around them. You choose your words carefully. You manage their moods. You subtly adjust your behavior to avoid tension or judgment. Even silence becomes work because you're constantly monitoring how it might be interpreted. That effort adds up. The Stoics believed energy was not just physical strength, but moral and mental force. What drains that force weakens your ability to act with clarity and virtue, and the most dangerous drain is the one you normalize. Here's the key insight. Healthy relationships do not require constant self-monitoring. When you're around the right people, your nervous system settles. You don't feel the need to perform, defend, or explain yourself. Your energy expands instead of contracts. Quietly harmful people create the opposite effect. They may not demand much openly, but they take more than they give. Conversations revolve around their problems, their opinions, their emotional gravity. You leave feeling like something has been pulled from you, even though nothing was asked directly. This is not about introversion or needing alone time. Even introverts feel energized by the right presence. This is about relational imbalance. Ask yourself honestly, do you feel lighter after spending time with them, or heavier? Do you feel restored or depleted? Do you feel more like yourself or less? Stoicism teaches that your energy is a finite resource tied directly to your ability to live well. Wasting it in environments that quietly exhaust you is not kindness, it's negligence. And again, intention is irrelevant. Someone doesn't have to mean harm to cause it. If their presence consistently drains you, the result is the same. Over time, depletion turns into resentment, numbness, or quiet withdrawal from your own life. A Stoic does not chase comfort, but neither do they accept unnecessary erosion. You are allowed to protect your energy without explanation. You are allowed to limit access without drama. Peace is not found in enduring everything. It is found in choosing wisely what you endure. If someone leaves you consistently drained, listen to that signal. Your energy is not infinite, and preserving it is not weakness. It is wisdom. 3. They quietly disrespect your boundaries. One of the clearest signs of quiet harm is not what they say to you, but what they ignore. Your boundaries. At first, it doesn't look serious. They interrupt your time. They push conversations when you're tired. They expect access when you've clearly stepped back. Each moment feels small, almost unworthy of confrontation. So you let it pass. And that's how the pattern locks in. They learned that your limits are flexible, that your no can be negotiated, that your discomfort will eventually give way to their comfort. Quietly harmful people rarely break boundaries aggressively. Instead, they erode them politely. They joke about them. They frame violations as closeness. They make you feel guilty for even having limits in the first place. You're too rigid. You're overreacting. I didn't mean it like that. These phrases sound harmless, but over time they train you to second-guess your right to say no. The Stoics were uncompromising on this point. Self-respect begins with self-governance. If you cannot govern access to your time, attention, and emotional space, you are no longer fully in command of your own life. Notice how your body responds around them. Do you tense up when they message? Do you delay responding because you already feel pressured? Do you agree to things you later regret just to avoid friction? That is not generosity. That is quiet submission. Healthy people respect boundaries even when they don't fully understand them. Quietly harmful people treat boundaries as obstacles to be worn down, not because they are evil, but because they prioritize their needs over your autonomy. Every time you allow a boundary to be crossed without response, you teach others how to treat you. Stoicism does not teach aggression or domination. It teaches clarity. A boundary is not a threat, it is information. and people who respond poorly to clear boundaries are revealing something essential about themselves. You are not required to justify your limits. You're not obligated to soften them so others feel comfortable, and you are not cruel for protecting your inner order. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that other people would be intrusive, demanding, and careless. His solution was not anger, but firmness, calm refusal, inner resolve. When someone repeatedly ignores your boundaries, the harm is cumulative. You begin to feel trapped in your own relationships. Resentment grows, authenticity shrinks, and eventually you start abandoning yourself to keep the peace. But peace that costs your self-respect is not peace. It is erosion disguised as harmony. A Stoic understands this. Boundaries are not walls meant to isolate you from the world. They are the structure that allows you to engage with it without losing yourself. If someone consistently pushes past them, pay attention. They are not just crossing lines, they are quietly harming you. 4. They always cast themselves as the victim. Another quietly harmful pattern reveals itself through a familiar story, one where they are always wronged, misunderstood, or mistreated, and never truly responsible. At first, this can trigger sympathy. You listen, you support, you try to be understanding. After all, compassion feels like strength. But over time, something starts to feel off. Every conflict has the same ending. Every failure has the same explanation. Every problem comes from someone else. They are always the victims. This pattern is dangerous not because it is dramatic, but because it slowly pulls you into a role you never chose. You become the listener, the fixer, the emotional anchor. Their pain becomes your responsibility, while their accountability quietly disappears. Stoicism teaches that responsibility is the foundation of character. Without it, there is no growth, only repetition. When someone refuses to own their actions, they are not asking for help. They are asking for permission to remain unchanged. Pay attention to how these conversations leave you feeling. Do you feel compassion or exhaustion? Do you feel clarity or emotional heaviness? Quietly harmful people use victimhood as armor. It shields them from self-examination. Any attempt to set boundaries or express concern is reframed as cruelty. Any disagreement becomes proof that they are being attacked again. And slowly, you learn to stay silent. You stop offering honest feedback. You avoid difficult truths. You carry emotional weight that is not yours to carry. The Stoics warned against this dynamic. They believed each person must bear the weight of their own judgments and choices. To take on someone else's responsibility is not kindness. It is interference with their moral development. Here is the key distinction. Suffering does not excuse stagnation. Everyone experiences hardship. What defines character is how one responds to it. When someone repeatedly chooses blame over reflection, they are choosing comfort over growth. Notice the imbalance. They vent but never change. They complain but never act. They seek validation, not solutions. Over time, this dynamic reshapes you. You become more cautious, more restrained, less honest. You begin editing yourself to avoid triggering their fragility. And in doing so, you sacrifice your own clarity. A Stoic does not harden their heart. But a Stoic also does not become a container for someone else's avoidance. You can care without carrying. You can listen without absorbing. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we should help others without losing our own integrity. That balance is the test. If someone's victimhood requires your silence, your guilt, or your self-censorship, the harm is already happening. Compassion that erases responsibility creates dependency, not healing. And relationships built on dependency quietly drain both sides. A Stoic chooses honesty over enabling, clarity over guilt, and responsibility over endless sympathy. When someone refuses to leave the role of the victim, remember this: you're not obligated to stay in the supporting role. Sometimes the most respectful thing you can do for yourself and for them is to step back and in that distance regain what matters most, your own balance. 5. They quietly compete with you instead of supporting you. Not all competition is loud or obvious. Some of it hides behind smiles, polite questions, and surface-level encouragement. At first, everything seems normal. They congratulate you, they stay close, they appear supportive. Yet, something subtly shifts whenever you move forward. Your success changes the atmosphere. You notice it in small ways. A compliment followed by a comparison, a celebration that quickly turns into advice you never asked for, a reminder of risks or past mistakes, just as you begin to feel confident. Nothing they say is openly hostile, but the pattern repeats often enough to leave a quiet aftertaste. This is competition disguised as connection. Stoicism teaches that a healthy person can witness another's progress without feeling diminished. Quietly harmful people struggle with this because your growth confronts something unresolved within them. Your improvement becomes an unspoken measurement, and instead of rising with you, they subtly pull you back. Pay attention to their reactions. Do they genuinely celebrate your progress, or do they quickly redirect the focus? Do they encourage momentum, or slow it with doubt and caution? Often their words sound supportive, but their energy resists. They question your direction for your own good. They highlight obstacles instead of possibilities. They frame restraint as wisdom when it conveniently keeps you within familiar limits. Over time, this dynamic affects you. You begin sharing less. You soften achievements. You reduce your excitement to avoid discomfort. Slowly, you make yourself smaller so others can feel comfortable around you. That is not humility. That is quiet harm. Healthy relationships allow space for growth without rivalry. They don't require you to dim your light to preserve balance. Stoic wisdom reminds us that character is strengthened by association with those who sharpen us, not those who quietly resent our progress. Here is the difficult truth. Not everyone who walks beside you is prepared to walk at your pace. Some people are comfortable with you only when you are not advancing beyond them. This does not make them villains, but it does make the relationship unsafe for your development. Stoicism does not call for impulsive separation. It calls for clear observation. Patterns matter more than intentions. If someone consistently resists your growth, even subtly, they are influencing your direction. You're not responsible for managing another person's insecurity. You're not obligated to stay small to preserve harmony. A Stoic grows according to virtue, not permission. If someone cannot stand with you as you rise, pay attention. They may not stop you outright, but over time, they can slow you down. And slowing growth is one of the quietest forms of harm. 6. You feel the need to shrink yourself around them. One of the most revealing signs of quiet harm is not found in their behavior, but in yours. You begin to hold back. You measure your words more carefully. You soften your opinions. You delay sharing ideas, feelings, or ambitions that once felt natural to express, not because you are unsure of yourself, but because you are trying to keep the peace. Around quietly harmful people, authenticity starts to feel risky. You sense that being fully yourself might trigger discomfort, jealousy, criticism, or emotional withdrawal. So you adapt, you edit, you shrink. At first, this feels like maturity. You tell yourself you're being considerate, patient, or diplomatic. But Stoicism teaches that a life of constant self-suppression is not wisdom. It is self-abandonment. Pay attention to this shift. Do you feel more relaxed when you are away from them? Do you feel relief when you don't have to explain, adjust, or soften who you are? These are not small signals, they are warnings. Healthy relationships expand you. They make you feel safe enough to speak honestly, to disagree respectfully, to grow openly. Quietly harmful ones do the opposite. They create invisible rules about who you're allowed to be. Don't talk about that. Don't act like that. Don't grow in that direction. None of these rules are stated outright. They are enforced through silence, subtle disapproval, or emotional distance. And because nothing is explicit, you blame yourself for feeling constrained. The Stoics believed that living in accordance with your nature is a moral duty. When you consistently suppress your authentic self to accommodate others, you violate that duty. You begin living reactively instead of deliberately. Ask yourself this honestly. Are you becoming more yourself in this relationship or less? Quiet harm works by accumulation. One small self-edit at a time, one swallowed truth, one postponed boundary, until one day you realize you are no longer fully present in your own life. This is especially dangerous because it often feels peaceful on the surface. There is no conflict, no confrontation, but beneath that calm is a slow erosion of self-respect. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that he did not need to perform for others only to live rightly. The moment you start shrinking to be tolerated, you trade dignity for approval. You're not responsible for managing other people's comfort at the cost of your own integrity. You're not obligated to remain small so relationships feel stable. A Stoic chooses alignment over acceptance. If someone's presence makes you feel smaller, quieter, or less alive, pay attention. You don't need dramatic exits or harsh judgments. Awareness alone changes your posture, because the goal is not to dominate, impress, or provoke. The goal is to stand fully as yourself without apology, and anyone who requires your shrinking in order to stay comfortable is quietly harming you, whether they intend to or not. 7. They spread anxiety without offering direction. Some people never raise their voice, never insult you, and never openly interfere with your choices. Yet after speaking with them, your mind feels unsettled. They point out what might fail. They hint at dangers. They question timing, motives, and outcomes. But they never bring clarity. Conversations with them don't end in understanding. They end in tension, doubt, and a lingering sense that something is wrong, even when nothing concrete has changed. This is not wisdom, it is unmanaged fear. Stoic philosophy teaches that fear must either be examined or released. When fear is shared without direction, it spreads. Quietly harmful people pass their anxiety to you and walk away lighter, leaving you to carry the weight. Over time, this pattern reshapes your behavior. You hesitate longer than necessary. You delay decisions that once felt aligned. You start choosing safety over growth, not because reason demands it, but because anxiety lingers in your system. Notice the effect. Do you feel steadier after these conversations, or more alert and tense? Do you feel better prepared to act, or more inclined to wait? Anxiety without direction does not protect you, it weakens your capacity to act. Often these people believe they are being realistic. They frame their worry as caution or intelligence. But true caution produces plans, boundaries, or restraint rooted in reason. What they offer instead is emotional discharge. They release their fears through conversation. You absorb them. The Stoics warned that the mind becomes shaped by what it repeatedly entertains. A mind trained on imagined threats loses contact with the present moment, the only place where disciplined action exists. If you remain around this influence long enough, courage erodes. You begin to doubt opportunities. You shrink your ambitions. You confuse fear with insight. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to meet events as they are, not as anxious speculation paints them. People who constantly project worry pull you away from reality and into endless anticipation. You are not responsible for carrying unresolved fears that are not yours. You are not obligated to participate in conversations that lead nowhere. A Stoic chooses clarity over emotional contagion. If someone consistently leaves you more anxious than grounded, more tense than oriented, pay attention. The harm is not dramatic, it is quiet, and over time, it makes you smaller. 8. You drift away from your own values around them. One of the most serious forms of quiet harm does not show itself through conflict or tension, but through subtle compromise. You begin to tolerate things you once questioned. You excuse behavior you would not have accepted before. You find yourself laughing at remarks that don't sit right with you. Nothing forces this change. It happens gradually around certain people. Values are not attacked head-on. They are softened, reframed, turned into not a big deal. Over time, what once felt non-negotiable becomes flexible. Stoicism teaches that character is shaped by repetition. What you repeatedly accept, you eventually normalize, and what you normalize becomes part of you. Pay close attention to how you act when you are around them. Do you behave in ways that align with who you believe you are? Or do you quietly adjust your standards to avoid discomfort or disagreement? This is not about perfection or moral superiority. It is about coherence. A Stoic life is one where actions and values move in the same direction. When they diverge, inner tension grows. Quietly harmful people do not demand that you abandon your values. They create an environment where holding them feels inconvenient. Speaking up feels awkward. Staying silent feels easier. So, you compromise. You justify it by telling yourself you're being open-minded, adaptable, or realistic. But deep down, something feels off. A small unease settles in, not because you are wrong, but because you know you are not fully aligned. The Stoics warned that once a person trades virtue for acceptance, they begin living at odds with themselves, and living divided is exhausting. Notice the aftermath. Do you feel proud of how you showed up, or quietly disappointed? Do you feel steady or subtly unsettled? Values are not abstract ideas, they are anchors. When you drift from them, you don't always feel immediate pain, but you lose direction. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that no external gain was worth the cost of inner integrity. Approval fades, convenience passes, but character compounds. You're not required to confront everyone who lives differently than you. Stoicism does not demand moral policing, but it does demand self-honesty. If a relationship repeatedly pulls you away from your own principles, the harm is already occurring. Not loudly, not dramatically, but steadily. Alignment with your values is not rigid, it is stability, and anyone who makes that alignment harder to maintain through pressure, normalization, or silence is quietly harming you, even if they never say a word against what you believe. 9. They become uncomfortable when you grow stronger. The final sign often appears only after you begin to change. You become more self-aware, you set clearer boundaries, you rely less on validation and more on your own judgment. And suddenly, the dynamic shifts. People who once felt comfortable around you begin to act differently. They grow distant, they question your choices, they imply you've changed in a negative way. Even though you feel more grounded than ever, this reaction is not accidental. Quietly harmful people often depend on who you used to be. When you grow stronger, more independent, or more disciplined, you disrupt an unspoken balance. Your growth removes something they were used to having: access, influence, or emotional leverage. Notice the pattern. When you improve, do they support or subtly resist? When you say no, do they respect it or take it personally? Instead of celebrating your progress, they may frame it as arrogance. Instead of adjusting to your boundaries, they test them. Instead of meeting you at a higher level, they pull you back toward the version of you that was easier to manage. Stoicism teaches that true relationships do not fear strength, they adapt to it. Only fragile dynamics feel threatened by your self-mastery. This doesn't mean every person who struggles with your growth is malicious. Change is uncomfortable, but repeated resistance is a signal. When someone consistently responds to your progress with tension or withdrawal, they are revealing where the relationship truly stood. Over time, this reaction creates pressure. You feel guilty for improving. You wonder if you're being selfish. You consider returning to old habits just to restore harmony. This is the final form of quiet harm. Growth should bring clarity and stability, not shame. If your evolution causes friction, the issue is not your discipline. It is the misalignment that discipline exposes. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the task of life is to become better, not to remain palatable. Your duty is to your character, not to other people's comfort. You're allowed to outgrow environments that once felt familiar. You're allowed to become less accessible to what no longer serves you. A Stoic does not announce their growth or demand recognition. They simply continue forward calmly, without resentment. If someone cannot stand beside you as you rise, they will eventually stand in your way, and that is the final truth. The people who are quietly harming you are often the ones who feel most uncomfortable when you no longer need them. Strength reveals everything. Awareness is an act of self-respect. Quiet harm is difficult to face because it doesn't arrive as violence or betrayal. It arrives as confusion, as fatigue, as small compromises you barely notice until they accumulate. Stoicism does not ask you to become suspicious or cold. It asks you to become clear about how people affect your judgment, clear about what drains your energy, clear about which environments strengthen your character and which slowly erode it. You're not required to hate anyone. You're not obligated to confront everyone, but you are responsible for what you allow to shape your inner life. The Stoics understood this deeply. You cannot control who others choose to be, but you can control the distance at which they stand in your life. Awareness is not cruelty. It is discipline. It is self-respect. As you move forward, observe calmly. Adjust quietly. Choose environments that reinforce clarity, strength, and virtue. Because peace is not found by enduring everything. It is found by protecting what makes you whole. And that choice, made without anger or apology, is where true Stoic strength begins.